Good morning, YouTube. So we're going to do a news today, and I just found this. It was actually released back on May 18th. I've been busy trying to get ready to go back over the road, and I'm not over the road yet. I'll touch on base on that closer to the end of the video. But we're going to talk about first, for news, Uber Freight launches to connect truck drivers with available shipments. I'm going to read some articles on it, and then I'll just get into kind of talking about my viewpoints based on what I read. And if you have any viewpoints on it, as per usual, comment below. Good morning, YouTube. I'm going to catch up on why I'm still here. There's probably been some videos already out on this because it was May 18th when it rolled out. I just actually ended up looking at some of the subscriptions today, and because I've been so busy with trying to pack and handle my own crap, I haven't paid attention to my news like I normally do. But today I'm bored out of my mind, so I went on and started going back into my YouTube, and I saw a trucker talking about Uber Freight. Uber Freight? You know, I was like, the hell, Uber getting into freight? But Uber Freight, because you got Uber Eats, you got the Ubers that are like the taxi drivers. Anyway, this morning I got up and I saw the video about the Uber Freight. I decided, I'm more of an investigatory person. I don't just listen to YouTube truckers, and because some of them don't know what they're talking about. Some of them do. Some of them, like I said, it's entertainment, and you're like, okay, let me go research this for myself. I'm going to tell you the Christian saying, read it for yourself. Even if you go to church and your minister's good and you like your pastor, go read it for yourself, because sometimes they are not right. I'm just telling you. Alright, and I'm using my phone because the camera is packed away. Also, I want to apologize about volume. Somebody had said something to me about the volume. On the computer, the volume is usually good because you can raise it and lower it. But I noticed that my volume in some of the videos is low when you guys are trying to listen to it on your phone. You have to use a headset. So I'm going to try to crank the volume on the editing software, and then I'm going to start playing with some other editing software. Anybody got any suggestions for video editing software? Put them below for me. I'm just using the old school software that came with Microsoft, so I'm just using that. Anyway, I don't want this video to go too long. All right, I got 3 articles, and I'm going to read all 3. And all right, so the first article, I'm going to read 3 articles. One is really, really short. It says Uber Freight launches to connect truck drivers with available shipments. Oh, at the end, I'll also be putting a little video from Uber up that's going to show you how it works. I'm also going to put the freight.uber.com, so you can go to their website, and it talks about how to get involved in it. I'll give you my opinion of it at the end, and if you guys have opinions, please put it below. Here we go. Uber is now the Uber for trucking. Uber Freight is a new service from the ride-hailing company that pairs up trucking companies, including independent operators with loads that need to be hauled from one place to another. The app looks a lot like the main Uber app, but it's targeted towards vetted and approved drivers who can browse for nearby available loads, see destination info, distance required, and payment up front, and then tap to book. The idea is to streamline something that used to take hours of back and forth negotiations via phone or other communication, putting it in a simple workflow with confirmation of a job, acceptance, and rates paid within a few seconds. Uber also notes that they're addressing another big pain point when it comes to small trucking companies and independent drivers. Payment speed, like many freelance truckers, typically have to wait at least 30 days to receive a payout, while Uber Freight will pay within a few days, fee-free for every single load, according to the company, and in cases where payments don't go through so quickly, Uber will pay additional fees depending on the wait periods. The service is entirely focused on drivers and trucking companies, and Uber makes not mention in its press material around the launch of the automated trucking service it acquired last year and still operates separately. It would be hard to imagine a scenario in which Uber wouldn't make use of information and data gleaned from this new service to help further develop its autonomous trucking ambitions. However, The key to making any kind of self-driving tech more robust is logging lots of miles on the roads for systems to learn from. After all, this can help them in that regard, much like Uber's regular consumer car service informs its self-driving pickup plans. All right, let's jump over to one of the other articles. Now, that article that I just read is from TechCrunch. Okay, just to let you know. And then this article is going to be from Business Insider. Uber is now officially in the trucking business too. Freight broker software, web-based TL and LTL solutions. So for those of you, TL is truckload, that's your large trailer, 53-foot trailer, and less than truckload are your smaller, like what Bill drives, a little, doubles and triples, so less than truckload. That's why it's less than truckload. For those of you who aren't in trucking, or for those of you who only know truckload but don't know about LTL. All right, so freight broker software, web-based TL and LTL solutions. There are already a lot of companies that call themselves the Uber for trucking, and now Uber itself is one of them. On Thursday, I think that's like 18th or 19th of May. Just shiny. On Thursday, the $69 billion ride-hailing giant officially launched Uber Freight, its new network for helping truck drivers find loads easier and pay them faster. Given the number of startups already vying to be the solution, it's not a new idea to revolutionize the trucking industry. But Uber is a well-financed behemoth entering the $700 billion trucking industry. That experts predict may give it the advantage over the other upstarts. And it has an ulterior motive as well. The plan builds on Uber's acquisition of Otto, a self-driving trucking company that Uber bought in July for $650 million. The same company is also the target of a massive lawsuit brought by Waymo that could impair Uber's future self-driving car efforts. At the time, Otto's main focus was to build self-driving truck kits that equipment manufacturers or freight networks could buy and install on their own. But it also secretly harbored a desire to build its own Uber for trucking marketplace. Even if you look pre-acquisition, Otto was always about reinventing transportation. Eric Berdenese, however you pronounce his name, the product lead on Uber Freight, told Business Insider in October when Uber first started testing the launch, and apparently they did their testing in Texas, just so you know. We'll talk about that in a minute. Even though we start with the announcement of the self-driving trucks, we were always intending to build a marketplace that would allow self-driving trucks to flourish. For now, Uber Freight is limited to trucks that are driven by humans that are vetted by the company to be certified to drive the different kinds of truckloads on that platform. Some which may require refrigeration or special equipment. It's also starting small, just operating in Texas between Houston, Dallas, and Austin, according to Wired. Amid concerns that Uber's self-driving trucks have vanished from the road, the launch of Uber Freight shows it hasn't abandoned its push into trucking wholeheartedly. So they're basically going to use, well, we'll get to that in a minute. I'll hold that. Article number 3. And this article is from Wired. The article I just read was from Business Insider. The last article I'm reading is from Wired magazine. Wired is like a techie magazine, a geek magazine. I like Wired. I used to get their subscriptions. I like them a lot. Alright, so with Uber Freight, Travis takes on trucking. In its quest to dominate transportation, Uber dreams of the day when everyone gets around in flying cars and self-driving taxis. But its plans don't hinge entirely on a robo-revolution. Today, the delinquent decacorn of Silicon Valley, announced Uber Freight, a bid to bring the ride-hailing model to trucking. The service, which quietly launched in Texas last year, connects truckers with stuff that needs trucking. Much like the app connects drivers with people who need driving. It's like Uber, but for freight. And it gives the company a way into an industry that touches 70% of American goods. We're going for that magical Uber experience, says Curtis Chambers, one of the company's highest ranking engineers, and of course that magical Uber revenue. With Uber's freight app in hand, drivers can find loads sorted by destination, deadline, and required equipment. A refrigerated trailer, for example. When they find one that suits them, a few fingers tap on their phone confirms the job. Uber promises to pay them within a week or so of delivery, so drivers don't find themselves waiting for customers to cough up cash. To ensure that people hauling all those chickens or TVs or whatever actually know what they're doing, Uber requires drivers to hold a commercial license, possess a clean record, carry the required insurance, and adhere to federal regulations. Like the core Uber service, the house that Travis built designed Uber Freight to displace the middleman, in this case the brokerage firms that match drivers with cargo. We fundamentally believe that computers are better at logistics than human beings, says Kevin Novak, the company's head of data, and the guy who brought you surge pricing. Uber will determine pricing based on market conditions. Moving flowers the week before Mother's Day costs extra, and expects to refine and automate the process as it gains experience and data. There's plenty of fat today in today's brokerage business. Most truck brokers are pretty human driven, with dialing for dollars on both sides, says Ryan Peterson, CEO of Flexport, which helps businesses organize their shipping efforts. Turn the labor into software and you've really unlocked some volume. But Uber's not exactly driving a DeLorean into the 1950s here. Big players like Total Quality Logistics, I'll see what I can find on them, already use apps and attract drivers with promise of timely payment. That's table stakes for truck brokerage, Peterson says. Still, Uber holds an advantage when it comes to software and managing data, but as in its campaign to topple the taxi industry, it all hinges on pricing. Existing brokerages typically take 12% cut on deals they arrange. Peterson says Uber isn't revealing its rate, but it has the cash and expertise to do the same job for far less money, basically for far less. For now, Uber Freight remains a bit player in the trucking game. So far, it is focused on Dallas, Austin, San Antonio, and Houston, Texas. It only tackles full loads, even though there's money to be made helping drivers hauling small loads find other cargo to fill the empty space. At some point, that could definitely be something we do, but I think it's like trying to build Uber Pool before we built Uber, says Chambers. We wouldn't have the density of the supply and demand. Uber Freight raises interesting questions about the company's long-term ambitions. It acquired Anthony Lewandowski's self-driving truck outfit almost a year ago for nearly $700 million. There's some speculation that Uber shelved working on autonomous trucks. In fact, some of the people working on the project now toil on Uber Freight, but it's easy to see how getting into trucking business might come in handy if Uber develops semis that don't need drivers. Even without robots taking the wheel, Uber benefits from this. With Uber Eats, it's building delivery networks in dozens of cities. Trucking can be the connector between these nodes. Peterson says if they do that, they can beat UPS and FedEx. Given the year Uber's been having with the scandals and lawsuits, and it says hashtag deleting Uber, a win would certainly be nice. So what's my take on it? And I didn't read, there was a fourth article I had from one of my trucking news channels, CCJ, and I'm going to just say CCJ mentioned a couple of things, that A, it's supposed to help the drivers' lives be much easier. They're apparently getting Uber's getting a lot of interest in, per CCJ, in the whole Uber Freight. And we'll talk about why I think that's actually good. I don't think it's a bad thing. It's a very good thing. 3, the other thing that they mentioned was that there are fleets that actually may end up deciding to use this Uber Freight software system that they're using But they will only take companies, fleets that don't have a negative history. So they have to have basically a very good rating. If they have an unsatisfactory rating, so that's probably their DAC rating. If they have an unsatisfactory rating there, then they're not going to mess with them. And that also means your driving record. You have to have a good driving record. They also want fleets that have a good record as well. Which makes sense because Uber is going to probably put their name behind it when they book the freight. So what am I seeing on this? What am I thinking on this? So based on what I read, here's in my business mindset, my trucking mindset, what has happened. And I always think it's good. Competition is always good. I don't know if you guys remember, some of you guys are my age, some of you aren't, for the young people. All the phone companies used to be what they call mobile companies. So you had AT&T, you had, what was the other one? They formed Verizon. There was another one, Pacific Bell, something like that. You had different companies. So you had all these Bell companies, and there were few far and in between. There wasn't a lot of them. So then what happened is they broke apart and they formed all these little entity phone companies. Okay. Now, some of them ended up going back together, but what happened was there was a healthy competition that happened. And out of the Bell companies, let's look and see what took place. Competition happened, new ideas started happening, and what arisen, because out of the Bell companies, they were only dealing with residential phones, your push button or your dial. Some of you don't remember the dial phones. The dial phones were the original ones, right? So they were only using those two models. Then when they broke apart and telecommunication opened up, telecommunication meaning your phone, your conversations, when that opened up, what ended up happening? All of a sudden we got mobile phones. And then the mobile phone industry, the Bell company started kind of getting in that. AT&T, Sprint, Pacific Bell, all these companies started getting into the phone industry. So, but what happened was technology increased, which can be good and bad, however you want to look at it. I see the good of it, I see the bad of it, but I think on a lot of levels, very good, on other levels, very bad, okay? We won't go into that because it'll take too long to explain. Right now, what has happened is trucking used to be union-based, which I don't have a problem. I think we really need some unions nowadays too, anyway. But again, there was a government mandate that allowed them not to be kind of hostage to being unionized, and so they all broke apart. There's a few trucking unions out there today, not a lot, there's a few, and they broke apart. And they went ahead and they formed independent trucking companies. So your Swifts, your Knights, your CR England, your Stephen Transport, all these companies started forming, right? And so competition happened, and one wants to outdo the other one. Then we get into what they call cheap freight. Cheap freight means cheap labor, and that's some of the animosity in the industry. But it's competition, and competition, in a sense, in the business industry is what most people consider healthy, because what it does on a lot of levels, it makes people either step their game up. But unfortunately, the bad part is it sometimes makes them step their game down, which means where you get into your cheap labor conversations and your cheap freight delivery. For owner ops, I think this could be a win-win if it works, okay? Why do I think it's a win-win? Because I know I was watching videos, because I was also researching, because I want to do lease purchase and own my own truck and be an owner op. I've been looking at a lot of videos, a lot of different people on here trying to do owner op, trying to do lease purchase. Those have been successful, those who are failing, those who are struggling. I look at all of it. You learn from all of it, okay? And watching some of the videos on people who say get your own authority, brokerage your own freight, all of that, but the headaches that can come along with that. One is trying to do the negotiation with the brokers. The brokers are trying to keep more money in their pocket. So if they get you to take the load for less than what would be what you take it for, and you really don't know what's kind of going on behind the scenes, okay? So you're relying on whatever broker person you're dealing with in order to get this freight and think you're getting a good cost, and you might have been able to negotiate it to get paid even more. You don't know. You're negotiating. You're haggling, like you go and haggle for a car, okay? Some people, they enjoy that. That's like, hey, I enjoy haggling. You know, I like when I get a good deal or think they got a good deal. Other people like me, when I go to the car dealership, I want that car. I don't want to pay more than that much for that car. That's it. I've done my research at home. Here in Arizona, we have a place called Tempe Autoplex out here on the east side. What made them very popular among car buyers is there are no haggle, no hassle area. You go out there and they pretty much, I mean, I'm not going to say they have it at the right price, but you can say, this is what I'm going to pay, this is what I'm going to do. And you just need to know what you need to do. It's not a bunch of haggle. It's not about, oh, I need to go talk to my manager. And then and it's not that car playing game, because I'm not about the car playing game. I'm just not. Some people enjoy that haggle back and forth. I'm not the haggle back and forth. This is kind of, to me, what this app is doing. It's eliminating that haggle with the broker for the freight that I'm willing to take the freight for. Also, what I also learned was I didn't know about the settlement until I watched this other trucker who talked about having your own authority, and that they can take the freight, but the settlement may happen anywhere between a 30 and 90-day period of time before you get paid for that load. You know, my money and hold up, and I done did the job. I want my money now. Okay? So what Uber is doing by taking the stance they're doing, they're like, you book the freight, you take the freight, we're going to pay you for the freight. And we're not going to wait no 30, 90 days. We're going to pay you ASAP. So the haggling is out the way. So for the trucker who's running his business who wants immediate satisfaction, this is a good thing. Okay? Now, you have an app that works. I like that. You're seeing what you're getting up front. You're dealing with where you're going, what's going on, what you're carrying. I like that. Right now, though, I do know they're saying it's only in the Texas area. And I like Texas. That's where I cut my teeth in trucking. That's where I first really learned my driving and trucking. So I always say I cut my teeth in Texas. To me, I think this is a good thing. What do I think about it as far as how the industry works? As I said before, I think the industry needs a wake-up call. You've got 100 million drivers short, or excuse me, 100,000 driver shortage right now in the industry. When I came back in October, it was 75,000. When I started looking prior to that, it was 45,000, and it keeps creeping up. I'm going to do a video on why I really believe there's a shortage in the industry, but a real quick thing is treatment. Treatment is huge. So the treatment that these drivers can now get their money up front and not wait 30 to 90 days in the trucking game to get paid for services they've already rendered, that's freaking huge. The fact that I can cut the middleman and deal directly with, and really they're saying cut the middleman, but Uber is becoming your broker. That's pretty much what's happening. But the difference is that Uber is being, in my opinion, as best they can be, upfront about at least what you're going to get paid without haggle. Now, they may be keeping some money on the back end, but is what you're getting paid, and you get to choose, hey, is this $1,600 load? Is this worth my time? And if it's worth your time, go get your paper. So that's some of what I actually do like about what I was reading regarding the Uber app. So I think it's a good deal. I think it might make some of these trucking companies, like I said, competition is healthy, maybe step their owner-op game up, step their lease purchase game up, and start treating these people, instead of maybe trying to gyp them, pay them, and still make money in the end. See, the problem with the industry is that they're trying to get every little cent and only give you the scraps, give you just enough to keep you coming back, instead of saying, you know what, I'm going to make money if I treat this driver fairly, so let me be fair about the money. Here's 80, my 20, I'm still going to make money. And I really believe that's what Uber sees. It's like, you know what, if I pay the driver this, yeah, it's more than what you pay a taxi cab driver, but I'm still making good money kicking it in the office on the end. So why am I sitting up here playing a game to scrape every little penny I can to gyp this person out of their livelihood? That's genius. And even they said with Uber's background, they can take a heavier hit and but still pay these people good money who are driving the freight. Genius. Now the other thing they're doing is collecting data. That was something else I read. So they have apparently the autonomous truck, the truck that's supposed to drive itself. I personally don't see that happening for well over 10, 20 years, but I could be wrong. One, because I believe it's going to have to go through some federal government mandates. I believe the highways are going to have to be set up. I believe there's going to have to be testing. And I don't know that you really can have an unmanned truck. My understanding is there is somebody on board watching what this truck is doing. I believe that it probably is going to have its own lane on the freeway. Well, I believe that actually can be good because it's going to open up jobs for people to do construction and redo our freeways, which our freeways throughout the U.S. need to be redone. But I believe it does bring healthy competition for the next 10 to 20 years before the autonomous truck possibly will be out there on the road delivering freight. My attitude about this is a thumbs up. It's a win-win. Just hopefully they can pull it off. I think it's a smart move. It cuts the brokers. And if the brokers want to do better business, guess what? You're going to have to change the game. You're going to have to start dipping these drivers out of the money they should get paid. Take your fair amount, give them their fair amount, and call it a day. For those who want to haggle, they'll still haggle. But for those who don't want the haggle headache, they'll go to somebody like Uber, have them book their freight, and call it a day. Anyway, you guys tell me what you think. I'm going to put maybe 1 or 2 videos up at the end. I might do a music video or an inspirational video. Haven't decided yet. I'll know in a minute. Anyway, be blessed. Don't let people take you on their rides. God bless you. Angels around the truck. Angels around your family. Be safe and get home. 2 and 2.
Good boy, Ben. Ben, come on. Let's get some sleep, boy. Come on, boy. Good boy.